I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about, can avoidance really change?
This is a big question. If you've ever been with an avoidant, this is something that's on your mind probably quite often.
You know, a lot of the anxious people out there are just so angry at the avoidant.
Yeah.
They're never going to change. No, they're not going to change. You guys are really negative, you're blaming, you're angry, you're hurtful, and I understand why you're hurtful.
You feel neglected.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a good feeling to be with someone where you constantly feel like you have to put in so much effort just to get, you know, a grain of affection back. That's not a good feeling.
But also, many of you guys are really guilty of controlling, manipulative behaviors, lashing out, losing emotional self-control, and pressuring other people to do what they don't want to do. But you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that part. They just want to blame the avoidant. Now listen, yes, avoidance can be very difficult depending upon how avoidant they are, but avoidance can change. And as a matter of fact, I am working with somebody I just mentioned to you a minute ago who is doing a lot of work, and he's almost finished the workbooks and the creative healing course. So he's really motivated to change. And we've got an email today with an avoidant who is changing and working on themselves.
You guys have to realize that for a lot of people with avoidant attachment styles, they are learning things that they never have before. For people who grew up in secure homes, they had that emotional safety modeled for them. That ability to talk about their feelings, to be open, to have empathy. So they are learning skills that are completely new to them as adults. You know, this takes time. And for a lot of people, it's almost like a light bulb that goes off. Oh my gosh, I've been treating all these people in my life this way. Oh my gosh, now I'm understanding more and more about how my behavior has been affecting others. So people do reach a point where they become a little bit more self-aware. It does take a lot of work though. It's possible.
Avoidants don't wind up the way they are from growing up in a good home. It just doesn't work like that. It's from neglect, abandonment, being gaslit,
abuse,
trauma. Yeah, a lot of negative things. Or maybe they just had parents that worked all the time. Or maybe they grew up in a home with 8 kids, or you grew up in a home with 8 kids,
right?
And they
Natural
didn't have time
disasters.
for you. Yeah,
it could be, you know, things that are external too.
So there are a lot of different factors. Okay, so we got a good email coaching today that we thought we would talk about. This is from a woman in her late 30s, and she's dating a guy in his mid 30s. Okay, now they have been together for 13 years.
Wow.
Long time. 13 years. And they don't have any kids together, and they've never even lived together.
Wow.
Can you imagine after 13 years not living with somebody?
I hope they live close by, in the very least.
Other side of the world. Just kidding.
No, sorry.
She said, our problem in our relationship was my lack of attention towards him.
Wow. It's a bold statement.
Yep, she's starting to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. I know now I have a low avoidant attachment style, and he has an anxious attachment style. His parents had him when they were teenagers, and they both had to work, so he was left with family to take care of him. So he probably had a lot of neglect and abandonment himself, so he didn't know how to soothe himself. He's very anxious.
Yeah, yeah.
My issue is he would get mad at every situation that threatened me leaving him, such as friends or parties. Okay, so anxious people who are so angry at the avoidance, you have to look at what he's doing to her as well. She wants to see friends or go to parties, and he's getting angry. Was that you? Did you do those things? Probably, and you don't even realize it. We have those aha moments as we're learning this stuff.
Yeah, and it starts to get personal. We start to convince ourselves that our partner is responsible for all of our needs, and that's a lot of weight to put on one person, especially when they have their own needs, social needs for fun, excitement in their life. It sounded like that's what she was trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She says, I have empathy for him now.
Wow.
That's big.
That is really
big news, guys. One of the big things that avoidants struggle with is empathy, because they weren't given much empathy when they were children and when they were babies and they were infants. I remember having many discussions with Margaret about this. I could not understand how something that happened at 6 months old, a year old, 2 years old, had such a profound impact on our adult life. But the more I started to see it, the more I got it. And it is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm. Because that's really when your brain is developing.
Yeah.
You're absorbing everything in your environment. Mm-hmm. And with empathy, those with more avoidant attachment styles struggle to have empathy with themselves sometimes. They had to suppress their emotions on such a deep level that sometimes they're not even aware of their emotions, much less able to bring them up to the surface, acknowledge them, and feel them. So empathy really is a struggle.
Yes. Big struggle. We had a huge fight at my cousin's wedding because my actions made him feel undervalued. A few days later, he broke up with me. He started to go out and party a lot, which made me very anxious. This led to calling and begging. See, so now it flipped. And it's the ironic part. It's like people are like, wait, what? These things happen all the time, depending upon the interest level with each other. So he had a high interest level, and he was feeling neglected from her. Now he's fed up, he's upset, he decides to go out and party, and all of a sudden she's feeling the anxiety, and he's acting like the avoidant.
Mm-hmm. And this is also a lesson for those of you who are more avoidant. Everyone has limits. She might think that he's more of the anxious one, that he's upset that she might leave, that he's more afraid of abandonment, and that gives her maybe a sense of security and some leeway as far as her behavior. Oh, okay, Ken push a little bit more because he's not as likely to leave. But you see here, everyone has a limit. And his limit was reached. He had enough of it to where he had said, okay, I've voiced to you my concern with these things. I'm not feeling like I'm getting what I need. So the anxious person starts to focus more inward at a certain point. They realize, almost ironically like the avoidant had in their early childhood, that that person that you're seeking that affection from or those needs to be met from isn't able to do it.
Yep.
So turning inward, now he's going out partying, doing whatever he wants, and she's having a reaction because now what she probably never expected to happen is happening.
And this happens to the avoidant all the time. Absolutely. Okay, in February, I went no contact. He called me after 2 months. That day, he called 12 times in the span of an hour.
Wow. That's a lot.
This is what we tell you guys. Exes come back and look at this. Now, all of a sudden, he has lost emotional self-control, like the breakup just happened. You see, this is an example of it. We say it, that people come back and act like the breakup just happened. A couple months later, he comes back and calls her 12 times in an hour. Since I didn't answer, he left a message saying, if you don't want to talk to me, just let me know and I won't reach out anymore. You could already feel the anger and the entitlement. Right? Now he's back to being the anxious one.
12 times in an hour. I'm also curious what happened to spark that.
I think some internal thoughts on his end started to... I think he got scared for whatever reason that she was moved on. Sometimes that happens with people. All of a sudden it just hits them with that anxiety.
And I know all of you are also listening to people around you. So you start hearing, thoughts and comments, ideas from others of, oh, they're moved on. Oh, they don't care about you. Oh, you need to act now or it's gone forever. So you almost get fear-mongering from your community.
Sounds like some of the coaches.
It does.
Don't waste your time and no contact.
That was a good impression.
They advertise in the beginning of our channel.
That's true.
Don't waste your time with this doofus.
That was a good impression. But you do start to hear these voices around you, and so that can be something that does spark more anxiety. I'm just curious if there was anything specific, or what the specific thought was for him to call 12 times. After maybe 5 or 6, you might have thought, well, okay, maybe she's busy, maybe she's in the shower, maybe she's had a bad run at Taco Bell or something.
I mean, an hour. Like, that's not even like you waited like a few hours and then did it again, and it's within 1 hour.
Right, and multiple times.
12.
That's only an average of one every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or some more than
more
that.
like at 5 minutes.
2 every 10. Yeah.
Once every 5 minutes.
Wow. He had a timer on.
Yeah, he said it. I'm giving her 5 more minutes. 5 more. But then he called again after a few minutes. When I called him back, he said he was sorry for the way he treated me during the breakup. Now, see, he's acting like the breakup just happened. And asked what was going on in my life, my plans for the summer, and if I was seeing or dating someone new.
That sounds like the real question.
That is the real question. You're right. That is the real question. That's all he really wanted to know.
And this is something that's very interesting from a psychological point of view, just from observation. If you notice that people are listing things, sometimes what they really mean might either be at the very front or the very end, depending on what they're trying to get at. If they're listing things and their very first thought comes up, and then they list other things, they want to make it seem a little bit like nonchalant, like one of them is not as important as the other when it really is.
He's like this. So what do you plan on doing this summer? You answer.
I don't know, maybe going kayaking.
No, but are you dating one? Anyway.
Right.
That's what he really wanted to do. Are you dating anyone?
Right. It's just like the formality of asking other questions to get it out of the way.
Exactly. That's exactly what he was doing. Oh, man. She said, I felt overwhelmed by the whole thing. Of course, who wouldn't? He even sent me an Instagram request while we were talking.
Oh, wow.
So now that's the answer he was looking for. Let me see if she's dating anyone. Let me see if there's any pictures with another guy. Oh, no other guy. All right. Now he's going to lose interest. Probably that's what happened. Let's see. He had blocked me when we broke up. Later that day, I texted to see how he was doing, but his interest was already gone. You guys get mad at avoidance, but who wouldn't get mad at this anxious mess?
Yeah, this back and forth, it's confusing.
He's like a big ball of anxiety.
Yeah.
2 days later, after not getting a text or call, I noticed he deleted me from Instagram. So I called him and said how confused I was by the call. His response was, I just called to see how you were doing.
Of course.
Yeah, right. No, I called to see if you had moved on, and then when I saw that you didn't, I was able to calm right back down and go back to my merry little way, which is, I think, what happened here.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. The next day, I went to a party with my friends. He saw me in a story. Wait, I thought he unfollowed her. Didn't he?
Yeah.
It did. He unfollowed her, and he saw me in a story and called me very upset to tell me I'm surely going to those parties to find someone new. Here we have it again.
Which sounds like that's a thought he had during the relationship too, or might have been.
You're right. He did kind of give that vibe off too when she would go to parties, and I think there was something with the wedding, right?
And our anxiety convinces us that things are true. You guys have to make a distinction between a thought and truth. So it sounds like he had these ideas while she was going out. He had these fears that he thought over and over and over again until they became more concrete. And this is where it's really important to distinguish between your anxiety and your intuition.
Yep.
Now, that should be a whole separate video within itself. But I can see how perhaps these two things are getting blended for him. He might be thinking that his anxiety is his intuition, and I knew it, and I'm trying to catch you in this reality that I've created.
Yeah. I mean, he's a disaster.
Right. I mean, of course, we don't know the whole story. It might be true, but...
Which part?
The part where she was trying to find people at these parties.
I don't get that vibe.
I don't either.
I get the vibe that it was really all about him panicking about losing her all of a sudden. See what I mean? Where an ex can just reach out of nowhere, completely panicked. He's acting like the breakup happened the day before.
Yeah.
Not 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I called him back and told him I was very confused about the whole thing. You broke up with me after I let you know I didn't want to end it, and now you're upset about me going out?
And she has a point. If she were to be going out to these parties seeking someone new, she would have a right to now that he had broken up with her.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that quote that you always say where we create our worst fears.
And what does he say? He raised his voice and said, I thought we could get back together, but now seeing all this, I don't know.
I think this was also an attempt for him to have power here. And if any of you are more anxious and have been in a relationship with an avoidant, you know about that power struggle. It feels like they call the shots. It feels like you are only able to connect and feel that warmth and nurture on their watch. And you feel very dependent on them for attention and affection. And that can feel almost like you're a little beggar. Like, please just give me a little grain of something here. So in this moment, he's having more of the upper hand. I'm angry at you. You know, I was going to give you a chance, but now I'm deciding not to. And that must feel good for him on some level.
Yeah.
For him to say, no, this is going to be on my watch.
Yeah.
So I know that many of us can get caught up in this power struggle, but realize that for those on the avoidant side of the spectrum, they see it pretty differently.
Yeah. My response was, while crying, I think you should do whatever makes you happy. Boy, if that isn't a standard avoidant answer right there. I think you should do whatever makes you happy.
Do whatever you want.
Anxious people are like, no, I don't think you should do anything that makes you happy. I think you should stay with me.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, exactly. He immediately calmed down, and that was the end of the phone call, and the last time I heard from him since the end of April. He used me for reassurance and then disappeared. Yes, we both agree with that, yes. My question is, how should I proceed the next time he reaches out? I don't want to feel angry and used again. Sure, I want to be with him, but I love me more. I'm doing the work and the knowledge, and I'm already in volume 9.
Wow.
So you could see why she's learned to be so much more empathetic and understanding and patient with him.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of work, so that's great. I mean, if he reaches out again, you're going to have to stay calm and not get caught up in his drama, because he will suck you right into that little twister. It's like a little out of control little tornado, isn't he?
Yeah. And I wonder if there is a way to reach the core issue here with him in the next reach out, if it's possible at all. I wonder what that would be, if it is just to catch up.
Yeah, something simple like, well, do you want to get together and see how it goes and talk and just see if we can get together? We haven't seen each other in a while.
Right.
And try and do something where it maybe calms him down a little bit, and maybe focus on having a good time, see if the chemistry is still there. And I'm sure he's going to open right up. And he's probably the biggest thing he wants to know is she's dating other people.
Right. Or to be able to just, state the elephant in the room. Hey, I see that there's a lot of things on your mind that you might want to work through and talk through. I'm here to listen. I'm here to be with you in these things. There might be some things that are bothering you. Just want to be able to talk about it very plainly and see how he responds.
And I think she should make the focus on, well, that's not really important. If you want to repair this, that's what we should talk about, not whether or not you're seeing other people or I'm seeing other people. Like, if you want to repair this, then we could talk about that. But if you don't want to repair this, then it really doesn't matter to get into those things of who I'm dating or who you're dating.
Yeah.
Right? And I think she should just prioritize that.
And for those who have a lot of anxiety, creating that structure can be something that's really helpful.
Yeah.
These are the things that I am willing to do. These are the things that I am willing to talk about. These are the things that I'm not willing to talk about. And to make it very clear, okay, you've made a decision here, and I need to be able to hold my boundaries with certain things. But I am willing to talk about this arena. So being able to have set limits can help a person feel a little bit more contained and held in that space.
He's going to need it.
Yeah.
Because he can't control himself. And that might be a sign for you not to give him another chance or give this another chance.
Worth thinking about.
You've done a lot of work, and you can see that in this time it doesn't look like he's really made any changes. And I mean, this would be exhausting. Could you imagine trying to repair it with him like this? It's like, how could you?
I also wonder if him mentioning her going out to these parties and seeking other people, if that's the first time he's mentioned that type of a thought. Because I wonder if he's felt like he's had the arena to speak his mind or to at least speak his fears with his partner. So I'm curious into how to handle that on her end, but it really depends on how he reaches out, the attitude. I don't think that she should just put up with anything from him now because she was avoidant in the relationship. There's still limits and boundaries that need to be there in place.
I agree. Take it slow with this guy and don't get sucked into this drama. because he's out of control.
Yeah.
And I think he's feeling out of control and terrified that he's going to lose her. But when he's afraid of losing her, he just has this meltdown, and you just can't even do anything with that when he's acting like that.
And she's also made a lot of incredible insights just in this email
that
I think would be important to share with him at the right time.
At the right time.
At the right time. Not immediately, because I still think that there are some other things to sort there. But I think it would be really helpful for him to know, as you were just reading this and she was making those insights, man, I have been neglectful in this relationship. Man, I haven't given it as much attention as I think it deserved. I was thinking, man, how lovely would it be for him to hear that? How validating, how reassuring for him.
Yeah.
So consider those things in your approach, and also manage your own anxiety. Welcome to the anxiety club. Isn't it great over here? So
she's like, I preferred being avoidant.
realize these feelings as they're coming up. Empathizing with them will help you empathize with him also.
Lot going on here. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.